Hello, welcome back. Danganronpa another. Last time we were just about to start the class trial, and I was trying and failing to solve the murder. I've thought about it since then. I've made some progress. I still don't think I have everything figured out. One thing for sure that I think I figured out though. For this burst rubber ball, in the description it says, burst. It's burst at the corner. I'm almost certain that this means that it was impaled by the hook, because there's nothing else that could burst a rubber ball. Like, that just seems to make sense. And the only reason I could see for doing that would be if you're the ultimate soccer player, to like kick it to entangle the hook around the ceiling bar. It's after that that things get a little more fuzzy for me. Crazy like it. Yeah, so after the rubber ball broke, I guess it started spewing like liquid everywhere that was inside of it, and that's what was on the wall and stuff, and it somehow magically detached itself. I guess when like it got to the end of the hook, the ball like got stuck on the bar and popped out and rolled out perfectly. That seems insane, but like the ultimate powers they have are pretty much like superhuman powers, so seems plausible to me. So I think that part is more or less correct. The part I'm having trouble with, really there's only one part, is like, why this? What's the deal with there being blood on the floor in the bathroom, but there being no blood on her body? That I don't understand really. Like I was last time I was thinking that maybe she was being held upside down or something. That doesn't seem to be the case with my soccer ball theory for the hook. But otherwise I can't really think of anything. Maybe it's just that her head was like tilted back, so none of it reached her clothes. For this one I really don't know. But for everything else, I think it's pretty set in stone. I'm pretty confident about my theory. Still think Mitch is the killer. But yeah, I think we're gonna start the class trial for now. I have no idea what this is gonna look like. Is this actually gonna be like in what the class trial looks like in game, or am I gonna be shooting down statements? Trial. All rise. Okay, so there's gonna be sprites like this, okay. Let us begin with a basic explanation of the class trial, so your votes will determine the results. If you can figure out the culprit, only they will receive punishment, but if you pick the wrong one, then I'll punish everyone besides the blackened, and the one that deceived everyone else will graduate. One of us is the killer. It's been a while since we saw our own face. The culprit who murdered Kyoka? Of course. No way, I have to be in the same place as a real murderer? I can't do that. I know it's hard, but it's a must. We need to uncover the truth behind this case, and ultimately reveal the culprit's identity. Wait, hold on. What's that? That picture of Kyoka. Wouldn't it be awful if you got left out just because she died? Just because she died? Friendship penetrates even death's barrier. Hey, let me ask you something just in case. It's crucial that we know this for the trial. This is really important, so prepare to answer, dumbass. Okay, I didn't mind you at first, but if you're gonna be like this for every class trial, I do not like you. Can there be accomplices in the case that will determine the entire course of our discussion? Okay, good question actually. Really important? Why sure, I can tell you that. Now, accomplices in murder may exist, however, no matter how many accomplices there are, only the one who committed the murder graduates. I see, there would be no merit for the accomplice. Kakeru, he really looks like a different person. That'll do for the preamble. Let's get started then. First up is the case summary. Now, let the debate begin. The class trial. When Monokuma first mentioned it in the gym, I thought none of us would commit murder. In a class trial, a class trial would never happen, not then. That's why I didn't think too deep about this, but it really started. The trial to find Kyoka's killer. If we fail to reveal the culprit in this trial, we'll be... No, I can't let that happen. I have to do this, not only for me, but for everyone else too. To find out what really happened, and to reach the ultimate truth. I must do this with all my might. A non-stop debate is about to begin. Would you like to hear more? Normally I wouldn't, but I don't know how it's gonna work in this, so yes. Need to be on the lookout for contradiction and shoot with the true bullets, yeah? You can fire a true bullet by moving the red crosshair over text marked in yellow. Okay, so we're actually doing this. A set of true bullets taken from the list that you obtained during investigation will be given for each discussion topic. You must select the right true bullet to refute the contradiction. Press shift to change the selected true bullet. Needless to say, but firing a true bullet at the wrong place will deplete your influence gauge. Complete depletion of the influence gauge will result in a game over, so please do be careful. You may skip true lines by pressing the arrow in the bottom right. Can I? Okay, I can't like save during this, so if I game over, do I have to redo the entire thing? Okay, well I only have one true bullet. Oh, this is cool. Oh, it's like on a grid. Let's start with the basics. Kyoko Maki was the victim, that is correct. Why am I moving on my own? Oh yeah, it did that in the game too, right? Okay. I guess it's trying to emulate that. She was discovered in the girls' restroom, hanged by her neck. Look, who could have done such a terrible thing? Look, you see, I still can't quite believe a real murder happened here. I mean, this is ridiculous. Kyoka hanged herself and died by choking. No, that's wrong. Oh, wait, how do I... There you go. Sorry, where'd you go, yo? Agility 50%, 10 point. Okay. That's wrong, Teruya. Kyoka didn't choke to death. She didn't choke to death? Then how do you explain the rope around her neck? The Monokuma file. Didn't you read it? It clearly states Kyoka's cause of death. And then he's gonna say, well, we can't trust that, and then we're gonna say, oh no, the surgeon confirmed it as well. Look, it says here. The victim is Kyoka Maki. The estimated time of death is around 6 AM. The body was discovered hanging in the girls' restroom of the student dormitory. The cause of death is a contusion on the occiput. There seems to have been excessive blood loss from the wound. See, according to the file, Kyoka didn't die due to choking. Her real cause of death is the contusion on her occiput, the back of her head. Yeah, but can we really trust that tang? Spit on that tang. I don't know if I can really trust something from that old jerk Monokuma. What? Are you questioning my credibility? All kids these days, they just love to judge a file by its cover. Listen, I do not tell any lies regarding the trial. I believe in fair trials more than anyone else. It's in gold, so it's a communally agreed upon truth, even if it's not objectively true. Don't worry, Mr. Otori, I can back up the credibility of the information. Almost everything on the Monokuma file is true, I'll guarantee you as a physician. So if Kyoka died from a contusion on her occiput, someone must have hit her head from the back, right? Oh, okay, she didn't kill herself, another person killed her, and I guess this really is murder. Well, duh, don't reckon that it's suicide just because you're too lazy to go through your trial. Our lives are at stake here. Let us not waste our energy in pointless insults. It's already stated in the Monokuma file, but to add on my personal commentary, Kyoka's injury was very severe. The strike went through her skull and made a large depression on her head. Inferring from this, she probably died an instant death. What a devastating incident. This should not have happened. We can put those commentaries aside and talk about what actually matters. If the injury was that severe, a hard object must have been used to strike her head. The murder weapon, you mean? Kahaha, I expected someone to bring that up around this time. Now, won't us all talk about the what? Won't we all talk about the weapon used to deliver? Even that sounds weird. Used to deliver the fatal blow to Kyoka? If Kyoka didn't kill herself, a blunt object other than the rope must have been used as a weapon. Let's delve into that some more. Man, this is really baby's first trial, huh? They murdered the weapon that struck Kyoka's head. We need to find out what it was. What could it be? I wonder. Can I slow down time in this? I didn't mention it and I just forgot. Hang on, I wasn't reading what you were saying. Can I skip? Oh. Dude, this is so good. Strike him. They didn't say to click this to advance attack? Something that's able to cause an injury like that. Perhaps a long object like a bat or a stick. I assume that's a contradiction. Okay, hang on. Let me look at that tutorial again, because I feel like I'm missing something. So I need to look at my recording. What exactly did you say? Press shift to change the selected true bullet, yeah. You may skip true lines by pressing the arrow in the bottom right. That's what I was trying to do. Okay, it didn't say anything about slowing down time, so I guess that's not a mechanic yet. Yeah, I know what it is. Wait, I took damage from not doing it instantly? That's crazy. The culprit must have hit her head with a blunt object. That should be... Yeah, okay, can I... Okay, there we go. It's just really awkward. Hayame, that can't be right. In fact, I discovered this from the dormitory's garbage dump. Okay, you didn't discover this. I don't know why you're taking credit. Is that... It's a hammer! A small one you can easily hold with one hand. Is that what the culprit used to attack Kyoka? It apparently has blood on it, so it must be the weapon. The fact it was found at the garbage dump indicates the culprit attempted to get rid of it. How did you even find that at the dump? But can that tiny hammer really kill a person? Wanna try if you're curious? No thanks, I'm fine. Regardless of the size, a hammer is made of metal. True, with enough force at the right angle, killing a person in a single blow is not entirely impossible. To sum up, the culprit murdered Kyoka at once with a hammer strike from the back, then hanged her. But isn't it strange? If the killer just wanted to murder Kyoka, then why did they hang the body? Even if it was to cover up her real cause of death, the bruise and the bloodstain are still there. You can see that it's the murder right away. It was to put the body in the girl's bathroom, I think. You can? I thought it was a suicide before Yuki told us. It's because you're a helpless idiot. Miss Maki's body didn't look typical of people who hang themselves in the first place. Too unnatural if it was meant to be framed as a suicide. Too unnatural? Yeah, it did look slightly different from a typical suicide by hanging. It looked unnatural because, I mean, all three of these were true. The rope, I guess the third one isn't really relevant, but Kira wasn't hanging in the air, and the rope was too loose. So, I guess it wants the first one. Oh, okay. My bad. I mean, the rope was loose, they specifically said that, but I guess that's not what they were looking for. Kyoko wasn't hanging in the air. Kanata, do you mean the body looked unnatural because it wasn't hanging in the air despite the rope being tied on her? Ah, yes, that's correct. Don't you think so? Oh, wait, I got zero ideas about all this. Idiot, you don't know how people die from hanging? They usually tie a rope in the air, stand on a chair or a similar object, and kick it off as they hang themselves. That way, there is nothing to step on, and eventually they're choked by gravity to death. Oh, I get it. If Kyoko committed suicide, her body has to hang down in the air. But Kyoko's body was down on the floor even with the rope hung around her neck. This must be the point. It sure is weird. Why did the culprit hang Kyoko's body then? It's simple. There are two possible explanations. The culprit either had a reason to do it or was swear to God stupid. Wow. Airtight logic here by Mikaru. The culprit is stupid? Would that mean Haru is the culprit? Hey, she said the culprit is stupid, not that the stupid person is the culprit. Okay, you are stupid. He didn't deny that he's stupid. Anyway, there's no way the culprit hanged her without thinking. There has to be a reason. What is that reason that this had to happen? To talk about that, we have to discuss about the culprit first. There's no need to repeat that. Revealing the identity of the culprit is the ultimate object of this trial, after all. So let's discuss about the culprit like Tsurugi said! But who is the real killer? I have no idea. Me neither. How could there be a murderer among us? I can't even imagine who. Hey, didn't we already narrow it down to have to be honest? Okay. Try to be like a little less obvious next time. What makes you say that? Duh, use your brain. Kyoko's body was found in the girls' restroom and hanged by a rope. Then shouldn't the killer be one of the girls? What? Hey, he has a point. Exactly. For example, Kizuna could be the killer. She didn't speak up once since the beginning of the trial or missed dark circles over there. Huh? One of them is the culprit? That's nonsense. I have no reason to commit murder. Then why are you so quiet? It's hella suspicious. Dark Circles was always like that, but not you. Shut up. I'm just trying to avoid talking with dirty killers. Mr. Mori, please don't call us killers. There's only one culprit. Monokuma said accomplices have no merit. Don't view us like that. Hell no. Kyoka's already dead. It can't be anyone next time. I can't die here. Do you know that unnecessary overreaction makes you look even more suspicious? Shut up, Higa. I thought you said something else there. How dare you spit out nonsense? The killer's a girl because the body was in the girl's restroom? It's not like we have rules here. Guys can certainly enter it too. Okay, you're also very stupid. Monokuma literally said this in front of you. Kizuna, you sound like a different person today. Why are you calling him by his last name? Well, I guess her mask slipped. It's impossible for a man to enter the woman's restroom. That might have been a possibility in the real world, but this place has a rule that forbids it. Am I right, Monokuma? Bingo! A man entering the woman's restroom is considered a form of indecency and will be punished by a shower of bullets from the machine guns. The same goes for the opposite case. This applies to not only the restrooms, but also the locker rooms and bathhouse that will be unlocked soon. Let's bear that in mind. It's true, Monokuma warned us when we found Kyoko's body and tried to step in. Come on, it's a matter of common sense, like guys can never commit murder in a girl's restroom. Ugh, that wasn't me. Why would I, of all people, commit murder? I'm not a criminal. If anyone is, it's that creepy bitch. If Mitsuhiro is right, that means the culprit is either Akane, Mikaru, Kanata, Ayame, Kizuna, Satsuki, or Mikaka. No, I am not the culprit. Satsuki never ever killed anyone. Yeah, if the culprit is one of the girls, who else can it be besides her? Don't you agree? Rei Mikaru? Huh? What's she even talking about? Don't pull my leg. Weren't you late when the body was discovered? Everyone was there except for you. If you're not the culprit, why did you come late? Huh, is that all you have? I told you back then. I was late because I was investigating at the main entrance. Nobody believes you. You have no evidence. Well, surely she was a bit suspicious. I'm not trying to jump to conclusions, but he did come late. Moroku, can you prove what you said? If you need proof for something as simple as this, it would be better for you to die here, airhead. Trying to get back out? Gotcha, Star. We found the answer. This bitch is the killer. She's starting to grow on me, the cheerleader. Hold on. I suggest that we think about this some more. Coming late to the scene is sure of our suspicion, but would it also mean that Makari is the culprit? No, that's impossible. I know that Makari really was at the entrance hall to investigate. There was evidence pointing to her innocence. It was... Okay, again, I don't think this is good evidence, because you talked to her for like a minute, probably. She could have gone and killed Kyoka right after, or right before. It's not like the Monokuma file. God, sorry. It's not like the Monokuma file said she died exactly at 6 AM on the dot. It was around 6 AM. Like, but whatever, this is what they want. Hold on, Makari's innocent. She really was at the entrance to investigate at that time. Huh? How can you be sure? Did you see it yourself? No, but Kakeru, you know it, right? Makari's innocence? Ha 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 ha! You said it, Yuki. Listen up, fellas. Rei Makari is innocent. I, Kakeru Yamaguchi, am the witness. Mr. Yamaguchi, is there something you know about this? I woke up around 6 AM with an urge to go to the restroom. As I was heading there, I encountered Mekaru. She said she was going to investigate the skull wing and walked away. The next time I saw her was after the murder occurred. Which means Makari is innocent. No, it doesn't, at all. I hope somebody points this out. Did you get what he's saying? Satsuki sees the logic, but can't understand a thing because of all that shouting. Wahaha. Basically, he saw Mekaru heading towards the school in the morning, which proves Mekaru's claim. Wait, but the body discovery announcement was the 8th. There's 2 hours in between the time you saw her and the murder. 2 whole hours. How does that prove her innocence? True! And you're gonna say the Monokuma file, blah blah blah. Kizuna, think about the time again. It's true that Mekaru didn't show up until after we found the body, but Kyoka's estimated time of death was 6 AM. In other words, it's impossible for Mekaru to have murdered Kyoka since she went to the skull wing at 6. Again, it said around 6 AM. I mean, that could easily give you like an hour of leeway from 5:30 to 6:30. Sure, she could have turned back as soon as Kakeru went back into his room, but there wouldn't be enough time for her to hang Kyoka's body or throw away the hammer. If you say so, I'm just gonna take the game's word for it, even though I don't agree. This is the reason why I'm saying Makaru is innocent. Oh, they have this mechanic. Do yukashira. Wrong, that's not enough to say she's innocent. Why? We even have a witness, Kakeru. No, there's a hole in your argument. I'm sorry, but I've got to make this rebuttal. That's the only way to make the Four Eyes admit her crime and end this stupid trial. Yes, I would like an explanation. A rule to shut down is a one-on-one debate with the person who disagrees with you. No one will put forward the argument and continually press on you. Press confirm to slash the opponent's word. Just like in a non-stop debate, you can refute text marked in yellow by pressing shift. You can switch your true blade with the left and right arrow keys. Use the right true blade at the right contradiction as you did in the non-stop debate. Okay, but the controls are different, right? Because for the non-stop debate, it was shift to switch bullets, and the arrow keys didn't do anything? The shift key won't work at non-yellow text, and pressing confirm will slash arguments in the order they were said. Be careful though, since not all arguments will go down the single slash. Your influence gauge will take damage if you refute the wrong argument. Your focus gauge will take damage if you fail to completely strike down a piece of white text. Just a little warning, if you have zero focus and fail to strike down with text, your influence gauge will take damage instead. Okay. Clean body. I actually don't know what this argument's gonna be. I know that. We said you had to murder someone right in front of that person. Kakeru could have killed her remotely from some other place. Okay. Oh, I was supposed to counter that, or? Kill her remotely? How? Kyoko was murdered by a hammer. How is it possible for her to kill Kyokoya with hammer when she was talking with Kakeru? That's more than possible. For example, she could have tied the rope around Kyoko's neck in advance, knock her out or something, and set the hammer on the ceiling so it falls down on her after a certain time. Okay. Setting up trap to kill, then activating it from a remote place. Would that be possible? Look at Yoko's body. They told me that wasn't the case. The murder had to be close to her. Okay. So I want you to refute the second statement. Can I cut this down? Okay, I can. If I don't want to rebuild it, I can just cut it down. Again, so your theory is that... Hang on, I want to... Right, she could have tied a rope around Kyoka's neck in advance. Okay. That's a crazy theory, but... Wasn't there a more obvious contradiction argument? I should point that out. Oh, that was wrong? Okay. Kyoka died around 6 AM. Met around 6 AM too. So you had to murder someone. Okay, yeah, okay, yeah. Wait, what? I pressed it. Okay. Holy fuck. So crunchy. I hope it gives me back my health. Because I really don't want to die and have to redo this, because I can't save. Kizuna, it's impossible to kill Kyoka remotely. How come? I told you! Well, technically it's possible, but it's not the answer for this case. And it's because her body was too clean. The body was too clean? Remember how Kyoka's body looked like? Kyoka's head did have a large bruise and was all sticky with blood. But that was it. The blood under her hair didn't even flow very far. Her clothes were clean too. Isn't it strange? A bruise that's severe enough to create a dent on her head, but not a single drop of blood got on her clothes? There's only one reason for this. The killer wiped off the blood at the same time Kyoka died? Yes, I agree with Yuki. I was wondering the same thing while I examined the body. Okay, so I guess what they're going with is when she was killed, a bunch of blood got on the floor and on her body in the washing machine room. And then the killer cleaned her clothes and cleaned her body, and then he took her body and took her and did the whole rubber ball trick to put her in the girl's bathroom. And the wound was still bleeding, but I guess at that point her head was tilted back, so it bled on the floor instead of her clothes. I guess that's what they're going with. Okay, I'm okay with that. But can you stop bleeding from a wound that big just by wiping it a few times? My nosebleeds never stop that easily when I try to wipe them off. It doesn't take long for blood to coagulate in room temperature. A nosebleed is from an injury inside the nose, but Miss Maki's bruise was directly exposed to the air. About 5 minutes of pressure would have been enough to stop her bleeding. And Miss Maki likely died an instant death, so the actual amount of bleeding might not have been much due to lack of circulation. Yeah. Huh? But if the culprit wiped it off as soon as Kyoka died... Right, if the culprit killed Kyoka remotely from a distance, like Izuna suggested, Kyona's body would be covered with blood by the time they got to wipe it off. Okay, but that's a good counter-argument for what she said, if you assume that the murder took place in the girl's bathroom, but it obviously didn't. If you want to go with Mikaru being the culprit, which I don't think she is, but she could just say that Mikaru killed her in the laundry room, and then went to set up the murder in the girl's bathroom, met with Kakeru, and then after he left, she just... no, that doesn't work. Hang on. I mean, I guess the better counter-argument would just be that she couldn't put the hammer in the furnace after, if it was a remote murder. Also, they'd have to risk the blood getting on her clothes when there's no way to wash it off. What do you think, Izuna? Anything left for you to say? Ugh. Why? Why are you siding with Four Eyes? Huh? I wasn't really siding with Makaru. True, why would Useless stand up for me in the first place? I don't care what you think of me, but you don't use it to justify framing someone else in a trial. If we choose the wrong person based off of your petty emotions, everyone here is going to die. Do you still not understand the rule of this place? Fine, do whatever you want. Yes, then is Mikuru fully proven innocent? Is everyone clear on it? You know what? I take back what I said earlier. If we're considering that the killer had to like clean her clothes, clean her body, hold down the wound so it stops bleeding, and then after that do like proper body in the girl's bathroom, I guess I'm more okay with it. It's still a little flimsy to me, but I guess that's okay. I'm speaking about that being proof that Mikuru isn't the culprit. Because earlier I was saying it felt wrong to me, but I guess it's a good argument, I guess. Hey, why are we suddenly talking about Mikuru though? If I remember correctly, she faced her suspicion after Mitsuhiro said the killer was among the girls. Mikuru, we apologize for suspecting you. Shrug it off. No matter how much you contempt and disdain me, I won't give a damn. Mikuru, she has the guts. Then we can safely assume that Mikuru and Kakeru have an alibi. Well, we already crossed out Kakeru. Didn't you say the killer's a girl? Hold on, even if Four Eyes is innocent, I'm not gonna take that. The killer cannot be a girl. But there's no other possibility. The killer had to be able to enter the girl's restroom. Who else other than the girls can enter the girl's restroom? And why are you being so fussy if you're not the culprit? You feeling guilty or something? I told you I'm not the killer. I mean, it's just not fair. You can't assume me as the killer just because I'm a girl, and you don't even have solid reasoning. Oh, come on. If the rules that boys cannot enter the girl's restroom is not an acceptable reason, then what is? The culprit is a girl, but is it really like that? This isn't good. We can't reach an agreement if we keep fighting. Ultimate leader, we're waiting for you to come up with a plan. There's no need. In fact, I'd highly encourage this sort of debate. Huh? I see the current situation as a perfect chance for all of us to understand the culprit's strategy. What do you mean? Everyone's just fighting each other right now. Think about why you were led to believe that the culprit is a woman. If you can figure that out, you'll be able to reach the answer from there on. If you spin the chessboard... Why did we come to think that the culprit is a girl? The body was in the girl's restroom for sure. Then is the culprit a girl just like Mitch said? I think we're still missing something critical. I have to point that out. Do you have multiple bullets now? Okay. Torn note, laundry room blood stain. Okay, we're gonna say that she wasn't killed in the... Yeah. The culprit is definitely one of the girls. I said I'm not gonna take it. I must say, that's not gonna be... The body was indeed discovered inside the woman's restroom. That is correct. We didn't kill anyone. Calm down. While the body was found in the woman's restroom, we must consider Kyoka's murder and the hanging occurred separately from one another. That is correct. But the murder still happened in the girl's restroom, right? The culprit must have murdered Kyoka inside the restroom. No, that's wrong. Wow, look at that. No, Haru, that's not true. Not true? What's not true? We've been missing something critical. I'll cut to the chase. The culprit can certainly be a guy too. Huh? What are you talking about? Guys couldn't go in the girl's restroom. How do you commit a murder at a place you can't even enter? That doesn't matter. All this time we thought the murder occurred in the girl's restroom since that's where the body was found. But where the murder actually happened was a totally different location. Huh? What you mean? The body was at the girl's restroom? Oh, I get it. Looks like everyone finally got it. That reminds me, the Monokuma file only started where the body was discovered, not the place where the actual murder occurred. Stated where the... Yeah, okay. A critical point indeed. We weren't paying attention to the real deal while being distracted by superficial things. Why are you like smurfing? Because I feel like you already know all of this. You should have seen it at your first glance. True, you should have. That was very obvious. Wait, hold on. If Kyoko wasn't murdered in the girl's restroom, if the culprit killed her in another place, then moved the body to the restroom, those could be all done by someone who's not a girl. Come to think of it, Kyoko's body was quite close to the restroom entrance. Then was Kyoko murdered somewhere else? How did you reach that conclusion, Yuki? I bet you had some kind of supporting evidence. Yeah, in fact, I found a puddle of blood in the laundry room. Pretty stupid of the killer to not wash that. The laundry room, that place sounds so irrelevant. The bloodstain says everything. Kyoko Maki was murdered in the laundry room. The laundry room? I've seen Miss Maki there a few times, but her time of death. Why did she go to the laundry room at 6 AM in the morning? Yeah, I know she was an early bird, but I don't think she would get up that early. The reason Kyoko headed to the laundry room. Didn't I find something that can answer that question? What was it? I think it's coming to my mind. That clue was. Everyone, can you look at this for a second? What's that? You know, I didn't even think of the fact as to like, why was the paper like burned? Is it burned or is it supposed to be ripped? I completely blanked on that. I found this from Kyoko's body. It looks like a scrap piece of paper from the notepad Monokuma gave us. Kyoko was holding it tied in her hand. Would you like me to read what it says? Home to the laundry room at 6. Any cup be waiting. Very convenient. It's all raggy and torn. Okay, it's torn, it's not burned. Take a closer look. It clearly mentions that place in the parts that we can read. I see, the laundry room. Moreover, the words that really matter are still intact despite the missing parts. From the parts that are left, I think the full message was, so come to the laundry room at 6. There aren't any cameras there. I'll be waiting. Yeah, that's pretty much what I was thinking as well. I mentioned that cam was probably cameras earlier, yeah. Something like that. That was so sick, Tsurugi. You completed the note just from its parts. It's my speculation, so I can't assure that it's completely identical to the original sentence. But it should be the same overall. Is it ripped because the culprit tried to pull it out by force? I believe so. Maybe the culprit wasn't able to remove the whole paper from Miss Maki's hand due to rigor mortis. Okay, I'm not like a mortician. I'm not an expert on this. First of all, there's no way it would set in that fast. And second of all, there's no way it would be so strong that you can't like open someone's hand, right? Maybe I'm wrong about this, but I don't know. Whatever. That means Kyoko got that note from someone and went to the laundry room at the designated time without knowing what's about to happen. Shoot, why would anyone use those kinds of cheap tricks? Huh? Satsuki's confused on the part that says there aren't any cameras. Perhaps it was intended to make the note look like some sort of secret talk. Nope. That's not what Satsuki meant. Are there really no cameras in the laundry room? There is. Whoa, what a surprise. You can talk? Between the ventilator and the clothes line. Yes, I saw it too. The culprit just wrote down meaningless nonsense as bait. Kyoko, just why? I apologize for the untimely interruption, but may I speak for a moment? Kinji, what is it? Kyoko was murdered in the laundry room, although we cannot be certain about the statement. Is it not too early to conclude that a man could be the culprit as well? Yeah, because you're gonna say like you still need to hang up the corpse in the bathroom. Huh? Why it is possible for a man to commit murder in the laundry room and carry the body to the restroom? Recall the fact that Kyoko was not merely lying on the restroom floor. She was hanged by a rope attached to the ceiling. We've forgotten this already? Okay, I'm glad that we've got someone else, like another smart character aside from the policeman and the teacher. Kinjo and Mekaru. Oh, you're right. The murder could be done somewhere else, but you'll have to enter the restroom to connect the rope to the ceiling. So the culprit is really a girl then? What? Are we back to where we started? Seriously? Guys, you want to think the culprit is a girl that bad? No, but Kinji's not wrong. It's impossible to tie a rope to a pipe inside the restroom unless you're inside as well. I don't know about that. See, the killer is one of the girls. Wait, it's too early to make that conclusion. Can there be a way to hang the body from the outside? Seesaw effect. If Kinji is right, the killer cannot be a guy. But if there's a way to refute that logic, I have to come up with that, even if the chances are less than 1%. This isn't the drill. A single mistake could kill all of us. If we put our heads together, we'll be able to find the answer. Jesus. Or heads. It's hard to say for me for some reason. Kanata's account. Bullet stain near the body. Hook. Probably hook. Could be Kanata's account. A way to hang the body from the outside. Is that really possible? What if the culprit used a tool for it? I'm guessing I have to use a hook there. Oh, we have the blue statements also already. Maybe the culprit had a tall height. What? They must have climbed up the wall. Okay, you're stupid. It's a kind of stunt. Satsuki can do it too. Hey, we're being serious here. Let's think closely. There's still a possibility that guy's a culprit. If the body could be hung without entering the restroom. Okay, yeah. Don't struggle on your own. There's definitely something. Come think of it. There was another. Okay, yeah. I don't need a hint. It's kind of fucked up that it does damage to you there. Did it do that in the game? I don't remember that. Dude, stop moving. Oh my god. Did I get it? Okay. Consent. That's it, Ayame. You can use a tool. A tool? But how? I almost forgot the tool that was tied to the rope. It's right here. Do you see it? Looks like a hook to me. How is he showing this to them? Did they have a photo? Or a hook? The rope had something like that? I'm starting to get impressed by the extent of you guys' stupidity. Yeah, I kind of agree with Mekaru here. This is very basic stuff. But Useless made a good point this time. You're right. Looks like you got it correct. So what about the hook? The culprit must have thrown this hook with the rope attached to connect it to the pipe on the ceiling. That way, the rope is all set. Afterward, they can tie the other end to Kyoka's neck and push her body inside. Wouldn't that be possible to do without actually entering the women's restroom? Okay, so I was correct on that point. Yes, it is. This is our answer. Hold on. Look how the rope is tied to the pipe. It's been twisted several times around the pipe. Is it possible to do with that heavy-looking hook on the rope? Okay. Huh. I didn't consider that. Huh. That's a good point, actually. Huh. Okay, this is where the soccer ball comes into play. Oui, he's right. Is he supposed to be French? What is this? It's fastened by the hook, but the rope went around several times. I know, it's nearly impossible to tie a rope like that when there's a hook attached. What the? You said it like it's possible. That's why the culprit used another tool to secure the rope onto the pipe. Another tool? What is that another tool? Seems like Mekaru is the only one who realized what it is. Well, can you tell us, Mekaru? Like hell, I realized. I knew it from the very beginning. Okay, I didn't know it from the very beginning, but it was one of the first things I theorized. And if you're trying to sound me out, quit it. I already said that I have no plans to offer any help. Besides, it looks like Useless over there got a hold of it anyway. Why don't you ask him? What, me? Yuki, can you tell us the answer? Tell him, Nagi. Well, it's... Oh, you didn't? Sorry about that. I guess that question was too hard for your non-functional brain. I won't forgive myself if I don't give an answer after hearing that. In fact, I'm sure that I can. I found that object in the investigation, didn't I? A tool other than the hook that we used to secure the rope from the outside. That tool was... Good. And one more thing. There was a key piece of evidence that can prove this tool's involvement in the crime. So this is going to be a fast class trial, huh? Because we know who the culprit is now. Ah, I got it. I figured out the other tool used by the culprit. It's the rubber ball. Rubber ball? What's a rubber ball? Do you know English or Korean? It's like a bouncy ball. Have you ever played with them when you were young? It's full of some kind of viscous liquid that makes it bounce back up when it hits the floor. Okay, I don't think the rubber balls I had as a kid had like liquid inside of them. Maybe it's a Korean thing. Oh, I know. I made some improvements to it and sold it overseas under the name Hyperball. Did I tell you all that it still sounds great? How is it relevant to the case? You better tell us quick, Yuki. Okay, I figured out the way the rubber ball was used in the murder just now. After Tsurugi said the culprit used another tool to set the rope in place, I tried to relate the act of winding the rope with the circumstances of the murder. I think we can be certain about the culprit using a hook since we found one on the pipe. But as Mitch pointed out, it's impossible to wind the rope like that with the hook alone. Putting the hook after setting up the rope wasn't a choice either, because there's no way to get the rope around the pipe by itself. Putting the hook after setting up... Yeah, okay. Besides, they'd have to step inside to attach the hook. That's why the culprit used the rubber ball. Before using the hook, the culprit tied the rope around the rubber ball. Then they threw it inside the restroom, between the pipe and the ceiling to be more exact. That way the ball would hit the wall and bounce back towards where it started. Okay, this isn't exactly what I had in mind, but it's along the same idea. If you repeat this multiple times... Oh, okay. Does that work? Because that would wind it the other way around, wouldn't it? Hang on. Wait, you still need to attach your body to the end of this at some point. I'm gonna just keep reading. If you repeat this multiple times, you get the rope around the pipe with the ball, returning to the entrance every time. All that's left is to remove the ball and tie a hook to throw it on the pipe. But the culprit probably faced something that wasn't part of the plan here. Okay, the rubber ball burst because of the pressure from rebounding off the wall. Okay, so I guess it wasn't hooked. It spilled its content all over the wall and the floor, which is still left at the scene. This is how the culprit tied the rope without going inside the girl's restroom. The hook and the rubber ball were used to make it look like it wasn't done from the inside. Okay, this is less ridiculous than what I had in mind, with him kicking the ball at like supersonic speed, so it just wraps around the girder like a bunch of times. The hook and the rubber ball were used to make it look like it was done from the inside. Oh, so that must have been the stinky liquid on the wall. Well said, Yuki. I guess it doesn't need to be the soccer player if it's just this. Am I gonna get owned here? Because the only reason I was so sure it was a soccer player. I'm still pretty sure it's the soccer guy. Because what other piece of evidence do we have to point to a specific culprit other than that? The only other thing we have is the thing about how the culprit must be someone who entered the antique store after yesterday. But I don't know what that's about. Well said, Yuki. I agree with you. Well, if your ultimate police officer says so, I guess he's right. Everyone, did you notice something after getting to this point? Notice what? Think closely. We were talking about the possibility of a man being the culprit. But don't you think this would be the opposite after going through all this? Opposite. My explanation involving the hook and the ball was to prove that it's impossible for a guy to be the culprit. But if the opposite of that is true, that means the culprit is a man. That's right, we're going in the opposite direction ever since. Opposite direction? What are you talking about? We thought that the culprit was a girl, so we thought of a way to hang Kyoka from outside the restroom based on the assumption, what if a guy could be the culprit as well? Turns out that wasn't the case. It's very unlikely that the culprit is among the girls. What if that's what they want you to think, and they did this whole trick from setting it from the outside, so you would think it was a guy? The killer is definitely a man. What? It wasn't me. Hey, how so? Why isn't it suddenly like that? Think about what we just went through. The culprit undoubtedly used the hook and the rubber ball to connect the rope to the ceiling. Now, suppose the culprit was a woman. Would there be a reason for her to use such complicated measures when she could have simply stepped inside and tied the rope directly? Well, to make it look like it was a guy. But I don't think that's what happened. That makes sense. It looks like the culprit had to do it without going inside the restroom. Furthermore, even if the culprit was a woman and had to use the hook or rubber ball for some reason, they would have been able to clean the stain on the wall afterwards. That's a very, very good point. But if a woman was doing it with the intention of making it look like a guy did it, they would want the others to figure out the trick. So it would actually be beneficial for them to leave the traces there so that people can figure it out. Because if they make it too hard to figure out, and nobody figures out that it looks like a guy did it, then we would be back to square one and they would think a woman did it. Anyway, it's obviously a guy that did it in this case. Great, as I mentioned before, the culprit probably didn't expect the rubber ball to burst. To clean the liquid off the wall, they needed to get inside the restroom. But they couldn't, because guys can't enter the girls' restroom. I can't say with absolute certainty, but it's the most reasonable explanation we can think of. Yeah, I agree. There would be no reason for the culprit to intentionally leave traces in the murder scene. I mean, the liquid stain on the wall is a big hint for figuring out how the ball was used by the culprit. Ahaha! That automatically gives us girls an alibi, right? Well, not exactly, but true. Plus, even better, Yuki, Teruya, Hariko, Mitsuhiro, Tsurugi, Kinji, and Kakeru. We know one of them's got to be it. Hold on, what if the culprit was a woman and tried to make us think this well along? Dude, even in defeat, he's so based. That's exactly what I was saying. I highly doubt it. The reason the culprit hanged Kyoka in the first place was to make us think that a woman did. It's a double mind bluff. Ho-ho, so it had nothing to do with disguising it as a suicide from the start. Indeed, everything was to lead us to thinking that a woman is the culprit. In other words, the culprit wanted us to think that way. So they wouldn't become a suspect. All because the culprit himself was a man. Everything's connected now. I found it strange to find the rope on Miss Maki's neck being too loose. In retrospect, I see that was the case because the culprit didn't intend to make it look like a suicide at all. I can't believe it took this long for you to reach that point. What's up with you talking like you already knew all this stuff? Because I already knew? What? I already have everything worked out. Who the culprit is, why they killed, anything you could possibly think of. Huh? What? And you just stood there in silence when you had all the answers? How many times do I have to repeat this? I have absolutely no reason to help you out. Didn't Byakuya do the same thing in DR1? And his reason for not saying anything was to see like who was smart in the group and who's like an idiot that they can take advantage of. Mikaru. This isn't a competition. If you don't share what you know and we end up voting for the wrong person, you're going to die too. Of course, I'll share my knowledge when it gets to that. But even without me, you still have Tsurugi Kinji over there to help you. And useless. You're getting pretty close to the truth too. I was actually surprised. Perhaps you weren't completely useless after all, monkey. Monkey? Ha 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 ha. Geez, she's real smug. Well, she's always been like that. We should ignore what she says and keep moving on. Sure, I believe we left off from saying the culprit is a man. Haha, I wonder who it is. Well, she must be really excited by the tables turning. Although we now know that the killer is among the men, we still need to specify one person out of 7. Is there any kind of clue to narrow down the list? Well, if Miss Mikari was able to work out the culprit's identity, there must be a clue pointing to the killer somewhere. The problem is, we don't know what that clue is. Tsurugi, a little help here? Like something that can nail the killer? I do have something in mind, but you shouldn't rely on me for everything. All of you should figure the case out by yourself and understand the reason behind our final verdict. Kyoka. Hey y'all, any ideas about the culprit? Well, nothing in particular, I suppose. We're almost there. We know that the culprit is one of the guys. Just to remind you all, it's not me. That reaction is making you look even more suspicious. Haha, just like you from a while ago. What do you say? Eek, I'm sorry. Wasn't that out of character, Kizuna? Since most of you seem to have okay, let me start again. Since most of you seem to be having trouble with this, let me suggest going around. How about we all think of something else first? Such as? Don't you want to know why Kyoka died? Why Kyoka had to die? Of course we do. Kyoka was always full of spirit and a nice friend to us. She didn't deserve to die. To begin with, 2 people were indirectly involved in Kyoka's death. 2 people? Are you implying that there are 2 culprits? No, I'm not saying those 2 took part in the murder, but they heavily influenced the events leading up to Kyoka's death. The point is, Kyoka died as a result of someone's mistake and the culprit's misjudgment that stemmed from it. Yeah, this is what I was saying earlier, that the culprit was trying to kill you, but they accidentally sent the message to Kyoka. Mistake and misjudgment? I need the help of a certain someone to explain this. Yuki, could you help me out? Huh, me? Do you remember the conversation we had in the hallway? The one over the nameplates? Oh, you mean that one? Yeah, you told me then that you know who caused that change to the nameplates. I don't have knowledge regarding this matter, so I'd like for you to provide us the context. Hello? I've got zero idea on what the 2 of you are talking about. Okay, I'll explain it to everyone. Yesterday, while all of us were in shock after Monokuma showed us the motive, there was a minor incident that happened. The people who know about that incident are me, Haru, Satsuki. Yeah. And finally, Kyoka. Why was Satsuki there? Huh? They don't look like they know it though. Haru, Satsuki, did you forget what happened before nighttime yesterday? With the nameplates? Oh, that? Oh, you mean the thing with Haru's triple spin? Yeah, would you mind explaining to us what happened back then? I think there's something you didn't know about it. I'll tell you when we get there. Okay. Haru's account, obviously. Last night, me, Satsuki, and Kyoko were hanging out together to distract ourselves from the motive. Then I accidentally fell down and broke the nameplates. It was really funny to watch. Triple spin. When I was freaking out over damaging school property, Monokuma showed up and said that he won't punish me since there was an accident and left me with a new set of nameplates. He told Haru to put the new nameplates back where they belong. So I put them back at the right place. No. Sarewachigayo. No, Satsuki, there's something wrong with what you just said. Yo, what's wrong? Although Haru did put the nameplates back, he didn't know that he made a mistake while doing so. Yuki, that's... He forgot where the 2 nameplates originally were, so he put the new ones in the wrong place. What? He forgot about something that was right in front of him seconds ago? Oh, he went to the restroom before putting them back, so I think he got confused somewhere in the middle. Why did they keep bringing up that he went to the restroom? Is that important? Okay, I got how much of an idiot Haruika is. How is that related to Kyoka's murder? That would be because the 2 nameplates Haruiko had to replace belonged to Tsurugi Kinjo and Kyoka Maki. Right, Yuki? Yeah, right. Kyoka's room was next to mine, and Tsurugi's was next to hers. But because Haru taught the other way around, the nameplates on their doors were switched. Mr. Kobashikawa, was it your intent to do so? Anyway, Haru, shouldn't you already know? We talked about the nameplates being switched when we were investigating. Well, I did, but I just wanted to avoid unnecessary suspicion. Avoid suspicion? Don't tell me you're the culprit, Haruiko. No, I'm not. I swear this is exactly why I didn't say it. Why would we think you're suspicious? It's just a couple of nameplates. I don't think they're that much related to Kyoka's death anyway. Yes, they are related. Much related, in fact. Now, would you care to explain what that means to us? I said earlier that two people were connected to the murder. One of them is Haruiko for switching the nameplates, and the other person is me. Huh? Mr. Kinjo, you have an indirect connection with the murder of Miss Maki. May I ask you to elaborate on that? It's true. Let's see. Where should I start? How will we all get a grasp of the culprit's intentions first? If things went as the culprit originally planned, the person to have reported here would have been me. Yeah, I already figured this out. That statement sounds somewhat far-fetched. How come you were to die instead of Kyoka? Do you remember the torn note that Yuki read to us a while ago? I was able to comprehend what the culprit was aiming for after seeing that note. Kyoka got that note from the laundry and headed to the laundry room at the designated time. There she was assaulted and murdered by the culprit. Everyone's clear on this, right? Then let me ask, how do you think Kyoka got the note? How she got the note? Well, maybe one of us casually handed it over. Kyoka wouldn't have known that the person who gave the note would come after her back then. From whom? Where? How? Did any of you ever see Kyoka getting a note from someone? No, besides, there wasn't any time for that. After we got out of the audiovisuals room, Kyoka stayed with me and Satsuki until she went into her room for the night. Wait, then Kyoka got the note between 10 PM last night and her time of death, which is 6 AM this morning? Right, Kyoka went inside her room as soon as it became nighttime. She couldn't have gotten the note while talking face to face with someone. And that leaves us with only one possibility. She got the note while she was inside her room. But you can't go into someone else's room unless you have the key or the owner's permission. Yes, but there is a way to give her the note without opening the door. What? But that'd be like magic. Really? How? Okay, Rare Mitch L. A way to slip a note inside the room without opening the door or being seen by the owner. That should be pretty simple, something that any clever kid could think of. Let's think about it. If I stay calm and keep brainstorming, it will come to my mind. Do we really need the Hangsman Gambit for this? Put together pieces of evidence. Yeah. Is this going to be in Korean? Part of the targeted words or phrase. Go in the blank space, shoot them. Yeah. The others will move around randomly. Just fill in the leftmost space first. Okay, yeah. A. I mean, it's gap, I guess. You want gap? Okay. Oh. Okay, that was very easy. Was it in Danganronpa 2 where the Hangsman Gambit was like really hard for some reason? That's it, the gap. Even when the door is fully closed, there's a gap between the bottom of the door and the threshold that's large enough to slip a note through. So after nighttime, the culprit left the note inside Miss Maki's room through that gap? Right, there would be no one out in the hallway after nighttime and Kyoka would still be awake. Adding a message like "don't exit your room" to keep Monokuma from noticing would have easily dealt with the chance of Kyoka seeing the note, coming in and opening the door. That way, the sender won't have to reveal himself while still getting the message across. This inequality of information between the culprit and Kyoka made her more vulnerable to deception. You know, it was pretty bold of him to do that. What if Kyoka didn't show up or brought other people with her? Note probably requested her to come alone to prevent such occurrences, likely coupled with a reason she won't be able to ignore. From the fact and mention the absence of cameras, it must have been something Monokuma should know about. A way out, for instance. Would any of you refuse to go if someone offers to tell you a way to escape? Well, I'd go, yes. True, I would have gone as well. Okay, you're stupid? You would never go in a million years? Okay, the culprit sneaked the note into her room. I get that, but how exactly is it you and Haru's fault? Think closely. Most people didn't know about the Haruiko switching nameplates until it was said in a trial or noticed it after the murder occurred. Which means, at the time of the murder, the culprit was unaware of that fact either. Oh! I see, for that reason, you considered yourself and Haruiko to be at fault. Huh? For those of you who haven't got it yet, we're saying that the culprit killed Kyoka because of a confusion. Confusion? What? So it ties back to what Tsurugi said earlier. Right, I think I know it now. The indirect influence Haru had over Kyoka's death. Haru switched nameplates by mistake and the culprit slipped the note inside the room without knowing they were switched. And the culprit's intended target was... Okay, he literally said this earlier. I can't imagine anyone in a million years getting this wrong. That's right, the culprit never intended to murder Kyoka. The real person he wanted to kill was Tsurugi. That makes sense, the killer saw Tsurugi's nameplate on the door and left a note there, but the room was actually Kyoka's. Does that mean Tsurugi would have died if Haruiko didn't switch the nameplates? Yes, that's why I said Haruiko and I indirectly caused Kyoka's death. Kyoka, it's all because I was an idiot. It's all because I was dumb enough to mix up those stupid nameplates. Calm down, Haruiko, it's not your fault. Even if you put the nameplates correctly, Tsurugi would have been in danger. I'm a policeman, it's my duty to ensure everyone's safety. Yet I was careless enough to let Kyoka die. I should have died rather than failing in my duty like this. Please don't say that every person's life must be treated with extreme regard. That is why I cannot forgive the culprit. Not that murderers ever deserved forgiveness, but him killing one of her close friends was absolutely unforgivable. Yeah, I feel the same too. But how am I supposed to take that? How am I supposed to take that one of us is that cruel, cold-blooded killer? So? What do you mean by so? Can't you think? Now's the time to say it. You know the identity of the culprit. The culprit? Didn't you solve everything you need to? The fact that the culprit is a man, the way he hanged the body without entering the restroom, how and why he called Kyoka Maki and killed her? Isn't the culprit fairly obvious at this point? Well, while we did forget most of the major details, I don't believe we ever brought up that matter before. Jeez, you guys still don't know? How long are you going to make me wait here? I think my legs are starting to hurt. How about you say it yourself if you know so much? Why should I? There's people like Tsurugi Kinjo who out there anyway. Tsurugi? Do you know who the culprit is? Yes, I do. Actually, I already knew who it was well before the trial started. Same, man. Woohoo, that's our ultimate police. But what I thought back then was more like an educated guess. Now that I went through these discussions in the trial, I'm confident with what I got. Man, that's epic. That's epic sauce. How do you know? I still don't have a clue. I'll try to make it easy for everyone to understand. So let's go back to when we were talking about the hook and the rubber ball. You all know how the culprit used them, right? Of course, the culprit tied a rope to the rubber ball and sent it around the pipe a few times, then threw the hook on to secure the rope. All was to make it seem like it was done from the inside. Are you gonna say like, oh, the culprit must have been very good at handling the rubber ball to have it bounce perfectly and not miss a single time? The rubber ball was the decisive factor in my deduction of the culprit. Do you remember Yuki explaining earlier that the rubber ball burst because it couldn't overcome the pressure? It was probably due to the accumulated damage from the repeated collisions with the wall. And there's the question, how much pressure do you think is needed to pop a rubber ball? Okay, we get it, we don't need all these hints. Well, it will depend on which kind you're talking about, but probably a lot. Yep, I'll tell you something that pops too easily will be worthless as a bouncy ball. Right, normal levels of pressure can't leave a single scratch on it, much less make it burst. But the rubber ball still bursts just by bouncing a few times off the wall. That's kind of strange. Was the rubber ball old? When I saw the rubber ball, it was still glossy and shining all over despite its condition. I dare say it was brand new. I'm not done yet, though I didn't place emphasis on this earlier. Think about it. Would it be easy to make a ball go over the pipe, through the little space between it and the ceiling, bounce off the wall, and roll back towards the entrance? Especially when the culprit couldn't afford to fail even once because he was a man. Society, man. I believe it would be a challenge. I don't possess the skills for it in the first place, but even if I did, I won't be able to do it because of the pressure. Fully agreed. But the culprit chose to take that challenge and succeeded nonetheless. That wasn't just a matter of guts, he had the confidence and ability to assure his success. In short, the culprit has the ability to throw a ball exactly where he wants to. Okay, you're really on the nose, huh? It's more than the accuracy. Not only did the culprit have precise control over where to land the ball, but also the strength to burst it open. But I don't think anyone out of the guys looks like they have much strength and accuracy. Judging by his muscles, maybe Kaku does? Okay, you're stupid. Wahaha, with my daily muscle training, it would be certainly possible for me to burst a rubber ball with my strength. However, just to be clear, I cannot be the culprit. I can't even score a goal right below the basket. Ha ha ha. Then how did the killer pull off those tricks? Was he secretly the ultimate baseball player? You're so stupid. No, I think you guys are missing something. I said the culprit made the rubber ball go over the piece, not through it. Okay, this is like extremely on the nose. Like, come on. I know this is case 1, but like, this is a fan game, right? I think it should have the assumptions that you've played all the previous games. It shouldn't, like, it should be a little more challenging than this, I think. Huh? How can you make the ball go over the pipe without throwing it? Wait, I think there is a way. How do you even do that? Superpowers? No, you can kick it with your foot. Alright, rubber... Okay, they're literally telling you. Alright, rubber balls are small enough to hold with one hand, so I was naturally thinking that the culprit threw it. Huh? Hold on a second. Kicking? With your foot? Ah, it's the priest! I knew I had the answer when I reached that point. It seems like some of you got there too. If what I'm thinking is right, the culprit is. But why? Why did he... God, I'm still not getting it. Who was it? Can somebody just tell me the answer? Yuki. You know who it is, right? Tell him, Yuki. Huh? Looking at your facial expression, I got the feeling that you finally reached the truth. You helped me out a lot with the hook and the nameplate, so how about you say it for us? The mastermind behind all of this. You know, I'm happy I figured out, or I assumed it was Mitch before I even like found the ball. I'm pretty proud of that. Just from like vibes. Mastermind behind all of this. Kyoka's murderer. Yuki. Shogi's bad. I know the culprit. I really did figure it out. There's only one person who could have done everything we talked about before. I want to convince myself that I'm wrong, but this is something I have to do. I must do this. Oh, this is cool. Hanin wa kimi da. The person that came up with this plan and murdered Kyoka. Okay. I'll probably do my thoughts on the trials as a whole after. There's been some things I've been pleasantly surprised by, but I'm really not a fan of them doing like the same trick pretty much as case 1 of the first game. Because that's how they found out it was Leon, right? Because he had to throw the crystal ball like perfectly to the fucking trash compactor or whatever. I really don't like that they did that again. I hope that pattern of like kind of doing the same thing but slightly differently doesn't continue for the rest of the game. The person that came up with this plan and murdered Kyoka, Mitch, it was you, right? What? Oh. We're only halfway through, really? I felt like it was about to end. Okay, well. Good time to stop. I thought this was going to be like a 2-hour video, but guess not. Okay, well. Next time we corner Mitch, I guess. Okay, I guess I'll do my review now for the first half at least. I'll give the game some credit. Like some of the logic that I thought was stupid, they did kind of expand on, and I think it makes a little bit more sense. The trick with the rubber ball is more logical than the one I thought of. I mean, it's still silly, obviously, but it's a lot more realistic than what I had in mind. I think my biggest issue with this trial was just way too easy. Like, I figured literally everything except for that part, I had figured out like before they said it. Which is good. Like, it's good that the mystery is solvable before the characters do it. That's the sign of a good mystery. But I feel like this one was too easy, even for a chapter 1. Because like I said earlier, this is a fan game. I think it should have the expectation that you have experience from the other Danganronpa games at least. Like, I really doubt there's anyone playing this as their first Danganronpa game. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Gonna end it here for now. Alright, see you next time.